Well, team, greetings and happy Thursday to you from the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. This is Dewey Norwood. I'm fortunate to be one of your hosts here for today's broadcast. We've got a quick polling question that we've got up and running, and then we're going to jump into our content for today. So feel free to take another 10 seconds or so to answer that polling question, and then we'll jump into our content directly. Thanks for being aboard, everybody. We're looking forward to a great broadcast with you all today. All right. So we'll go ahead and close out this poll, everyone, and go to our opening slide here. And wow, look at these metrics. I'm seeing very, very impressive numbers with folks joining from all over the fruited plains today. Every market represented, including other locations for our scholars that may be joining and participating internationally today. So want to thank again, everyone so much for being on with us. We'll go ahead and jump to our opening slide, and we'll welcome you to our 8th webinar of the year. This is number 8 of 12, all around the topic of careers and internships. So very, very excited about today's discussion and all the content that we'll be sharing today. We'll jump to the next slide, and this one will just give you some general information about me. So you'll see me, Dewey Norwood, 23-year veteran now of the firm. Very fortunate to work on our external engagement team and conduct the work that we're doing with our national higher education partners. So you'll see my contact information there, my LinkedIn profile as well. Feel free to look me up. And my hope is that you'll look up all of our panelists and all of our partners today and go ahead and get connected in with them via LinkedIn and other kinds of areas. So, hey, just some quick reminders, team. We're going to jump to a quick slide here to just give you the Zoom breakouts for today. Please remember that we are in the presentation mode with things here for today. So our team, our Wells Fargo partners, will be doing the formal presenting. You'll see us on the screen, but you won't directly see yourselves on that screen or the other participants on the screen. But don't forget, go ahead and utilize some of the settings here. Use the option there for either the full view or for the gallery view or the speaker view, just depending on your personal preference for the content that we're going to be going over here for today. Hey, before we leave this slide and as we transition on, I do want to remind everyone that today's Zoom conference call is being recorded. So if you choose not to participate in a recorded webinar, please politely disconnect at this time. And at the same time, I want to thank anyone that may be watching the playback of today's broadcast. If you have any questions about any of the content that we've shared today, or any of the content that we have shared across any of our webinars, please do not hesitate to contact us and we will be happy to answer any questions for you. All right, so the disclaimer is taken care of. Let's jump over now to our runner program for today. So listen, we're really excited, and I hope, scholars, that each of you all have had a really productive summer. I know that some of you all are finishing up internships, or maybe you've been taking summer classes, or maybe you've just been getting some R&R time. Whatever you've been doing, thank you so much, and we hope that you're doing it in a safe way. We also hope that you are making preparation. If you look at the calendar, you know, today is the 29th, so happy National Intern Day. So let's start by adding that in. But the clock is ticking, team, and we're going to be back on campus here very soon. Certainly by the time we get together for our August broadcast, we're going to be on campus in lots of our locations. And so just know that you're being planful, and just know that we're happy to help you in any way that we can. By the numbers, listen, you all have done it again. We came this close to having 1,000 registrations. I think we were at 980 or 990 right as we were getting things started here for today. And I think we'll get some additional folks that will certainly add on between now and the end of the broadcast. But scholars, want to congratulate you and just thank you for coming and joining. You know, we got to take a minute and recognize and shout out our top referral sources. So the Hispanic Scholarship, it was a close race, but the Hispanic Scholarship Fund edged just slightly ahead for the number 1 slot. Nicole, you will not be surprised. From the API Scholar side, API Scholars came in strong 2nd place here. And then, of course, interestingly, Scholarship America running through the tape here at number 3 this time around. So shout out to all of our partners there across all of those wonderful organizations. Listen, from a college perspective, listen, you all came in full force here. I've got the University of Southern California, and they would say the only USC, not taking a shot at the Gamecocks at all, but USC in first place there. NYU, my mom's old stomping ground there in the Village of New York, came in second. Got NC State right in our top three here for today. Brooklyn College, Baruch College, Arizona State, a very, very strong showing from your scholars, and also great representation down in Gainesville from the Florida Gators down there, and also really great metrics from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and also from UNC Charlotte. So congratulations to all of those top partners who joined, and thanks so much for coming to join this wonderful discussion. Hey, this is going to be a time when we're going to go there. We're going to talk about career opportunities. We're going to give you some action items. You're going to leave this webcast today with information that's going to help you prepare for your future from a career perspective, and specifically to examine some of the career opportunities within the financial services industry. So you're also going to hear firsthand from analysts and associates. They're a couple of years removed, maybe from where lots of you all are today, but they've been there, they've gone through the process, and they've been able to win these wonderful roles. And so you're going to hear more about them. Final reminders, we've got the Q&A feature going. Please, throughout today's broadcast, drop questions into the Q&A queue. We'll have a section of the broadcast where we'll actually cover off on those items. And I can tell you, we have received no less than 150 questions from you all. So we're going to do our best to package up some of our answers in those areas, but keep the Q&A going throughout the course of today's broadcast. The chat feature is also enabled here on our wonderful API Scholars platform. So please utilize that. You can drop information in there throughout the broadcast. And then again, please remember, just from the Q&A perspective, you can also send questions to our great partner, Kit Cam. You'll see Kit's email address here on the screen, and we'll bring that up again in a moment so you can see it again. But you can also email questions directly to her. You all know our rules. We're never going to call you out. We're never going to say this question came from Angie, or this question came from Camila, or this question came from Quentin. We're not going to do that. But go ahead and submit those questions to us, and then in turn, we'll make sure that we answer those items directly. At the end, we're going to give you some reminders about our additional webinars, how to access the playback. But I need a favor. I need us to be trending. Today is the day to be trending. I need everybody to get a screen grab of yourself or take a screen grab at some point today and throw it on your favorite social media channels with that hashtag WFC Beyond College. I want us trending today. I think we can do it. Get a screen grab, shout out API Scholars, shout out Wells Fargo, shout out your college or university, and go ahead and throw that up for us. I want you all's commitment that you'll grab a screen grab and throw it on your social media handles. Again, using hashtag WFC Beyond College. All right, as a point of privilege, I wanted to bring something up as we go to our next slide here. Did you know that this year's webinar series is actually sponsored in partnership or sponsored by APIA Scholars? Some of you that have been joining throughout the year know that Noelle Harmon and her team jumped aboard and said, yeah, we'll be happy to sponsor this for the Wells Fargo team this year. So this is a little bit impromptu, but I'm going to bring up my buddy, Nicole David, and she's laughing there in the background. Nicole, first of all, thank you so much on behalf of the Wells Fargo team for your engagement, for your leadership, and also for APIA Scholars' commitment to this wonderful platform. So this slide is all about you. I want to give you the reins for a couple of minutes to talk about the work that's happening. And this is also a busy time of year for you. So feel free to plug some of the things that are coming up. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, Nicole David, let's give her the microphone at this time.
Thank you, Dewey. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. As Dewey mentioned, my name is Nicole David. I am the Senior Director of Operations for API Scholars, and I'm honored to be here and to be a part of this great webinar series. API Scholars was founded in 2003 with the goal of supporting API college students through their undergraduate careers through scholarships and resources. To date, we've supported over 7,000 scholars, which is a huge accomplishment. And over 2/3 of our scholars live at or below the poverty line, and 65% are first generation. Those are statistics we're really proud of. As Dewey mentioned, today in particular is a very busy day for us, but also it's a busy season. We are in the middle of our Elevating Leaders Summit. So knowing that there's some other API scholars on this call, I hope that that means something to you. You've probably been to some of our other summits in the past. And so tonight is also the launch of our first ever Good Vibes, Goodwill comedy event for mental health, which we're super excited about. And we'll also be sharing all of those details after this evening with recordings. And you can check our social media pages to follow along. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dewey. Super excited to be here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Nicole David. Again, great time to go ahead and grab that screen grab and throw out something on your social media handles, and a big shout out to the entire API Scholars team. So Karen and Dawn and Sham and the rest of the team are doing a really, really great job. So we're excited to be partnering with you all on this work. We're going to jump forward and we're going to give you our quick 1-2 punch on a Wells Fargo spotlight. We've got another great brand new platform. It's called Our Money Matters that I'm going to encourage everyone on today's broadcast to check out. You can visit the ourmoneymatters.com website. Huge shout out to our buddy, Bonnie Wallace. You all have seen Bonnie in action with us back in April for our webinar, and for our May webinar that we focused on entrepreneurship. We'll see Bonnie again in October for a discussion around Get Smart About Credit. But Our Money Matters is a brand new tool that you can access. There's some really, really great resources that are available through the tool. And so I'm going to encourage everyone to go out and check it out. And the programs actually are going to help you and allow you to kind of individualize your experience. So the things that are important to you, whether it's internships or whether it's building kind of your financial future, you'll be able to access all of that great content from there. And this is all about financial health and financial wellness. And so jump out there, continue to build your financial journey with this wonderful tool. Again, Our Money Matters with an S.com is the website to check out. So thank you so much to Bonnie Wallace and to all of our partners in the financial health and financial wellness side of our social impact and sustainability group. They're doing really, really great stuff. Hey, from a spotlight perspective, we're going to cover off on these last couple of slides lightning fast. Here's a thumbnail sketch of Wells Fargo. $1.9 trillion in assets. 1 in 3 households in the US has a banking relationship in some way, shape, or form with Wells Fargo. More than 10% of folks connecting in from a small business perspective. So great numbers in those kinds of areas. Team, that equates to 70 million customers. 70 million customers. And again, that 1 in 3 households that are connecting in to the great resources that are available within our institution. So I think it's important to kind of note that. Certainly want to take a moment on the next slide to talk about the firm's commitments around higher education. You'll see here some great metrics. Since 2011, our firm has committed almost $88 million of financial support supporting our higher education partners, and you see them listed there. These are dollars that we're providing for scholarships, but also dollars that we're providing for programs like this one, where we can share information with students. Throughout the pandemic, our firm has also provided direct financial support to students to help them either stay in school or have the resources that they would need to actually continue the academic journey. Maybe it was a little bit of help with rent here, or some help in other areas with technology, or being able to maybe help out with meals in different areas. Our firm has been providing that support, and we're really appreciative of having an opportunity to do it. The next slide, again, just another slice here of the company overview of Wells Fargo. So you'll see the breakouts and the work that's happening around the community bank. Certainly the things that are happening from a consumer banking perspective, all of the great work that's being led across our commercial banking group. Of course, the great things that are happening in the investment bank and across WIM, or Wealth and Investment Management. And then down on the bottom, you see our other groups that are directly connected into the work that the firm is doing. So audit and corporate risk and HR, technology, public affairs, of course, the work that's happening across legal, finance, and also great work that's being led across our COO organization. And so, scholars, what I'll say to you is that there's a place for you in Wells Fargo. And many of you have heard me use this term before. Whether you're an accounting major or a zoology major, there is a place ultimately where you can be successful within the financial services industry, and then specifically from a Wells Fargo perspective. And so see lots of great information there. And maybe a little bit later on in the broadcast, we're going to ask you about which line of business you think you could see yourself in, or some of the lines of business that you may want to learn more about. All right, I'm going to close out my comments here on the next slide and then quickly hand it over to a trusted partner. Don't forget, submit questions to us real time. You can actually use Kit's email address, or you can also use the address Early Talent Forums with an S. So Early Talent Forums with an S on the end wellsfargo.com. Those things will come directly into our mailbox. Again, submit questions. If you have a question and you're on today, I guarantee you there's someone else that has that exact same question in another part of the country or another part of the globe. So please go ahead and utilize that resource to submit your questions in a real-time way. All right, team, we've covered off on the items that I needed to touch on here for the top. I am quickly going to hand the reins over to a trusted partner in Ryan Ruiz. I would encourage, again, everyone to go ahead and get connected in with Ryan. He's doing great work, leading work across our university programs recruitment team, actually serves in a management capacity there. And Ryan and his team are going to take us through the next phases of today's discussion. Ryan, always a pleasure to be working with you, man. Happy National Intern Day 2021, man. We're appreciative of having an opportunity to be on this journey with you. Want to turn the reins over to you, sir, at this time for the next phase of today's discussion. Ryan, take it away.
Thanks, Dewey. Always really, really hard to follow you and your energy. I'm gonna do my best. Okay, so hi everyone. My name's Ryan Ruiz. Just call me Ryan. You can actually also reach out to me through LinkedIn. In addition to all of the other resources that Dewey just went over. So I am with our university programs recruiting team, and I'm responsible for overseeing recruiting and hiring for a lot of the programs that we're going to review today. I'm based in hot and sticky H-Town, Texas. So anybody from Houston out there, shout out. And I've been with the bank for 16 years. I started as a recruiter, and I think the thing I miss the most about being a recruiter is the fact that I used to really engage with folks like yourself that just started learning about things through the webinar, at on-campus events, and had the chance to help them get hired with the bank and see their career grow. So I hope to be able to meet some of you or see you here at the bank at some time in the future. Next slide, please. All right, what are we going to talk about? For the next 20 or 30 minutes, I'm going to briefly talk a little bit about the university program's experience, and then also cover briefly the different opportunities that are available to you. From there, we're going to transition into really the meat of our broadcast today, which is the panel discussion. And then I'll review the application dates, talk about ways in which you can apply, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Next slide, please. And the next one after that. All right, so before I review our various openings, I really want to briefly touch on the university program's experience. So being part of a university program is really more than just about getting great hands-on experience. You're going to have the chance to participate in all these other various activities that we have on the slide. So we've designed it to be able to give you additional learning and relationship development opportunities. So you can see it includes networking and exclusive events. So this gives you access to senior leaders across the bank, and also helps you develop confidence to be able to network and talk to all kinds of employees at all different levels throughout the bank. You'll also receive industry-specific training depending on which line of business that you're in. There's various team building activities, and finally mentorship. So you'll be able to be aligned with someone who can share their experiences with you and can provide you with direction and guidance if you need it. Next slide, please. All right, our different opportunities. Whoop, there it is. I know many of you probably don't know what song that is. Dewey does. I know Dewey does though. So as you can see here, we have a wide range of different opportunities that you can go into. And while you're taking a look at this slide, I also want to point out the fact, as Dewey mentioned earlier, with zoology major, et cetera, that we're not really just looking for finance or business majors. We're looking for great talent, and it doesn't matter what major you have or are seeking at this point. A lot of our early talent programs are designed to bring you in, give you the training, develop you to be an expert in your job, and you can move forward from there. So, I saw some questions. Dewey mentioned we had about 150 questions. There's a lot of questions about, I'm this major, I'm that major. Is this a position for me there at Wells Fargo? Yes, there is a position for you here at Wells Fargo. You can see we do the traditional banking and finance positions, but I'm in HR. I don't have a banking degree. I can barely balance my own checkbook. But I'm here. So, there's a lot of opportunities for you here. So please stay tuned, and I encourage you to apply to these different positions. Next slide, please. All right, enough yapping for me. Let's segue into our panel discussion where you can hear from some of the employees that have actually lived the university programs experience. So panelists, I'll turn it over to you. If I ask you to introduce yourself, let's start with Megan.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Byers. I have been working in the technology space of Wells Fargo for a little over a year as a release manager on the platform management team of consumer and small business banking technology. I recently finished the Technology Associate program this month after graduating from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte last May with a degree in mechanical engineering. So I'm very excited to be speaking with all of you today and answering any questions you may have.
Hi, everybody. My name is Leela Evans. I've worked at Wells Fargo for 2 years, was an intern in New York in corporate and investment banking as an equity markets analyst. I was an intern, got hired full-time, been here for 2 years in electronic trading up in New York. And my alma mater was also in North Carolina, but North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I'm super excited to be on the panel and I'm excited to share some of my experiences with you guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cynthia Hernandez. I'm located in Charlotte, North Carolina. I interned with Wells Fargo back in 2019 in the Bay Area. I am currently a part of the Enhanced Due Diligence Center with Financial Crimes Risk Management. 2 weeks ago, I completed the 2020 Enterprise Risk Development Program, which is now known as the Corporate Risk Program. I was fortunate enough to stay with my second rotation team as a Financial Crimes Associate.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cameron Powers. I've been with the bank for 5 years. I got my start as a personal banker in 2016. After I completed my MBA, I moved into commercial banking with the financial analyst program in January of 2019. And I recently accepted a job as a portfolio manager, still in Minneapolis, with our commercial banking team. I went to a small school down in Alabama called Jacksonville State University. And I like to say that is the home of the real Gamecocks. And I look forward to sharing my experiences with you guys. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And scholars, as you can see, some great success stories of people, climbing the ranks, and that could be you. So thanks for the brief introductions. This first question, let's move to the next slide, please. This first question is specifically for Leela and then Cynthia. So, can you tell us why you chose to start your career with Wells? I'm pretty sure that you had a multitude of different options. So tell us a little bit about why you chose Wells.
Yeah, so from the first networking event, I just knew that the people at Wells Fargo were great. They were welcoming and they were willing to listen to me, learn about who I am as a person. And I could tell that the culture was great. It was a rising tide, lift all boats kind of culture. And I just think through recruiting, it was very clear that Wells Fargo was a special place. And even in the internship, I felt that way as well, that people were invested in my future. They wanted me to succeed and they wanted to give me the tools to succeed. So that's why I chose Wells Fargo.
And back in 2019, when I participated in the Wells Fargo Junior Leadership Conference, I believe Wells Fargo really invested in my development, even when I was still in school. That how it allowed me to land the internship in the first place. They gave me all the foundational tools I needed to transition from a college student to a successful working professional. When I really think about it, a 10-minute application really jump-started my career. It just goes to show you never know what's going to happen.
Awesome, thank you. Also, I actually want to touch on that. I know a lot of you will probably apply to our website and you probably think, there's no way anybody's going to look at me, or, there's a million people applying and nobody's going to look at me. I guarantee you, because I'm involved in a lot of that work, we look at every single resume and applicant that goes into our wellsfargo.com website. So, I hope that encourages you that even though you're not, maybe initially have a chance to talk to somebody and you're just kind of putting it out in a black hole, we receive it here, and my team, we spend a lot of hours, a lot of days, and lose a lot of sleep to make sure that we review all of our applicants. And actually, a lot of our applicants that we actually end up hiring come through wellsfargo.com and not necessarily just from an on-campus recruiting process, like going to UNC Chapel Hill. So I want to throw that out there as words of encouragement for you all. All right, so thank you for that. This next question is specifically for Cameron and then Megan. So how has the current environment impacted your role?
Yeah, so I began my technology associate program in July of 2020. So unlike a lot of previous programs, I have been entirely online, despite not having the opportunity to network and collaborate with coworkers and other associates in person. The current environment hasn't seemed to have much of an impact on my day-to-day work. The team that I joined has members all across the United States and the globe. So they were very accustomed to carrying out their work virtually and working together and collaborating that way. Maybe when I go back into the office or go into the office for the first time, I will see how that impacts my role. But with regards to the technology associate program specifically, it was still a great experience virtually. We had a lot of opportunities to check in with other associates through monthly calls. We did a lot of professional development activities together, and also participated in a group project where we got to work on something specifically with other associates and network and get to know others that way. So overall, just adapting to virtual work has really been the biggest way that this current environment has impacted my role.
For me, it was a pretty difficult transition because I worked in office, and not only that, like I got a chance to do a lot of activities with my team members. We did monthly happy hours and we went to baseball games and things like that. So when we shifted over to a virtual environment, it was tough for me because I missed that human interaction that I would get every day. But then I was also around more distractions all day. Being at home, I would sometimes find it difficult to focus 100% throughout the day. And then I would have times where I would do the exact opposite, where I wouldn't know how to turn it off. I would just continue to work until I couldn't keep my eyes open. So it took me probably 2 months or so to really adapt. And I would say to this point, I've had an equal amount of time in commercial banking in office as virtual. And I'm pretty used to it now. I've kind of found my own way of doing things. And we'll probably get into this a little bit later, but it just forced me to really focus on developing personal processes.
Thank you. I don't know about you guys, but I do my best thinking and collaboration when I'm washing dishes at the same time as I'm on a conference call. So anyway, we'll get to the next question, which is for Leela and Megan. What do you know now that you wish you would have known back then when you were going through the recruiting process?
So what I wish I had known during the recruiting process is to never be scared to apply to that job. Don't be scared to send the email, or don't be scared to ask a question, big or small. Just reach out to people that you may know, anybody that's applying, reach out to the people on this panel as well, ask questions, because the people at Wells Fargo and the people at other banks and in other jobs know how important recruiting is. So don't be scared to reach out, ask questions, because it's, recruiting, we're interviewing you, but also you're interviewing us, and you need to know as much as you want about, you need to learn as much as you can about Wells Fargo to make sure it's the right place for you. And so just ask questions and don't be scared to reach out to people.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on what Layla said. I wish I had known more about the industry, like the technology industry I was applying to. I came out of college as a mechanical engineering major, applying for technology jobs. So I think my perspective was that most of those jobs were for software engineers or programmers, but I quickly learned how many different roles and skills it takes to support technology functions. And I think having a more holistic understanding of the industry would have improved how I answered interview questions, made my questions that I asked interviewers stronger, and improved how I tailored my resume to the role I was applying to. So I think do your research not only on the role, but also the industry and the field that you're applying to, for sure.
All right, we're ready for the next question. All right. Thank you. And so I think this one is for my former interns. I believe that's Cynthia and Leela. So what did you learn during your internship that you may not have learned while you were in school?
So you learn so much. You learn concepts and definitions until you see like real life scenarios. That's when all the information you have learned makes sense. However, the most important lesson I learned during my internship was how to be my own advocate. I was initially placed in credit risk. However, with my manager, I did share my interest in compliance risk, and they became an advocate for me as well. Because we want you to succeed. We want you to be happy with your job and succeed and thrive, right? So that's what we want. And eventually, like, I was able to make that switch, all because I wasn't afraid to speak up and be my own advocate and show that shows that Wells Fargo really, really cares about their employees.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Cynthia said, you learn a lot on the job. And I think when I went into the internship, I thought that I needed to really like prove what I knew and prove myself. But really what I learned is I just needed to prove that I was eager to learn and that I was going to be a good teammate and that I was going to listen to people and ask questions. So yeah, I think one piece of advice, like when you're an intern, is ask as many questions as you possibly can. No question is a dumb question. Dewey said it earlier. You gotta ask a lot of questions. So yeah, I think that's one thing I learned. And I wish I'd known, and I didn't learn in the classroom.
All right, thank you. Next question for Megan and Cameron. So what do you think was the most challenging part of your first year with Wells Fargo? And Cameron, I know you started as a personal banker, but maybe you can tailor to transitioning to the commercial bank, or do whatever you want to with that question. But what do you think was the most challenging part of working for Wells Fargo in the first year?
I'll focus on the transition to commercial banking. And my biggest challenge was just remembering that I wasn't expected to know every single answer and to really lean on my team members as a resource. I really felt like even in my training, for the first couple of months, like I would be afraid to ask questions because I would feel like, I've got this degree, I've got a finance degree and I've got an MBA, so I'm supposed to know this stuff. And it wasn't until my manager basically told me, like, listen, we're training you guys. Ask questions if you don't understand something, and don't sit in meetings and pretend like you understand something if you have no idea what's going on. Everyone is here to help you. And that was reiterated to me when I made my transition to my office here in Minneapolis. I really wish I would have knew that sooner, but that's the advice that I give everyone when they start out in the beginning. Always ask questions and lean on people. We train. And like someone mentioned before, many of the people that we hire for early talent don't have business degrees. And we can provide enough training to make those people somewhat of an expert in whatever discipline they're going to be doing for the bank.
Yeah, I completely agree, Cameron. That's great advice. I would say that the most challenging part of my first year with Wells Fargo was learning, who is who and making connections with other people. I previously mentioned that I wish I had known more about technology industry and how technology organizations operate. I think learning the difference between the roles and the functions in the organization, and who to reach out to when you need different things. It was kind of challenging, especially in that virtual work environment. But from that experience, I'd say I learned like 3 things. So first, as everyone on this call has said, it's crucial to ask questions whenever you have them. Second, be prepared to problem solve every day. I think I came in expecting those who are more senior than me to always know the answers, and being able to just ask them a question. You may not always get a direct answer. They'll be ready to help you out, but you have to be able to think on your feet and problem solve every day. And third, just make a point to network with other people, getting to know the work that other people do, so you know how you can work with them the best and support them the best.
Awesome. That's great advice. So sometimes you can't fake it until you make it. So that's becomes evident, and it really is a turnoff for most. So if you don't know, ask. All right. So this next question is for Cameron and Megan again. Does that sound right? Yeah. Can you talk about how you prioritize work, especially when you have, multiple deadlines and priorities that you've got to get out the door ASAP? How do you do that?
I'll start out. I think that first of all, it's always good to try to work ahead, to be looking out and not be in a position where you're just meeting deadlines, but you're, blowing them out of the water. So there's that. Obviously, there are some situations where that's not possible. But the way that I go about trying to achieve that is, I look ahead and I literally list things out that are due first. I've got a dry erase calendar that I can look at every day. And whatever is listed at the top of that calendar is what I need to tackle first. I try to update that at least weekly, but things change. I mean, I may wake up one day and I've got 5 emails about something that I've got to get done in the next couple of hours, and obviously that becomes priority. So I would say just find some kind of way to keep track of your workload, but also build in some slack for those one-off things that come up that have to take priority, because in what we do, things just pop up out of nowhere when you least expect it.
Yep, absolutely. I think time management and prioritization is all about organization and understanding the importance and urgency of your tasks. I know when I was in school, I read Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that book, he talks about a matrix of classifying your to-do list based on importance and urgency of tasks. So kind of like Cameron, I keep a running to-do list, prioritize, look at it every morning, see what important tasks are on there, and then kind of go through it like that. And I try to keep the lesser important tasks as things to do between meetings or between calls, trying to make the most of all of the time that I do have, rather than sitting idle and waiting for those things to come up. So I can get the big things done, make sure those are crossed off, but also keeping track of the small things too.
All right. I think this is our last question, and this goes to all of our panelists. So I'll just go down the row here. And the way I'm looking at you, Cameron, Leila, Cynthia, Megan. So I think this would be really interesting. What is the most interesting project that you've had a chance to work on during your time with Wells Fargo?
Ryan, did you say you wanted me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I got a chance to work on a deal where we were having one of our clients was selling their business. And I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was, because I didn't really understand like how to put a value on a company. And as this started to progress, and it wasn't like a 2-day thing, this was months. I started working on this deal in November of 2019. 2019, and the sale happened in September of 2020. So as the months progressed, I noticed like the RM and everyone was getting more intense with just some of the dealings. And eventually the opportunity came up for me to, show some initiative and take on some tasks that I didn't necessarily have to. And so I got a chance to handle a lot of things that an RM would normally handle. I got a chance to be on some different phone calls and learn a lot of things. And there, it was stressful at times because we had to get so much done in such little amount of time once they had identified a buyer and all that good stuff. But in the end, and again, I had no idea how big of a deal this was. When I read the announcement that the RM sent people, this guy sold his company for $1.7 billion. And I was like, oh man, I literally met a billionaire. Like, he wasn't a billionaire at that time, but he became one a year later. So that was really interesting for me. And the opportunity to show initiative helped to propel me to my current position.
Great, that's an awesome story, Cameron. When in my most interesting project, it was in my first year, and there was a corporate access conference, which means our research team hosts a conference that in Las Vegas, and I was asked to go to help put on the event and take notes and listen to C-suites of big companies such as Salesforce, all these huge companies. I got to sit in on these pretty intimate meetings with C-suite level people and be in Las Vegas and hear from interesting people about what they think, how they think the business is doing and how their company's doing. And it was just a great experience to see people that have impact on the stock market without actually being at my desk. So it was like a very great in-person hands-on experience that I'm super grateful for.
For me, the most interesting project has to be, we were given a task to find an untapped opportunity in the bank. And we developed the idea where for Wells Fargo to, have a TikTok platform. And that sounds insane, right? A bank, what is a bank going to do with the TikTok platform? So our social media team, so even though I'm in risk, I was still able to work with the social media team and kind of develop this project and talk about, is this a possibility? Can we do it with federal regulations? At first, we were told, no, this is not a good idea. We can't do it. Too many regulations. And then we started getting the green light. We started hearing more and more. And you just see like the pattern of maybe this is a possibility. However, this will probably be a year from now, considering our laws and regulations, and we have to build the team. There has to be so much going on. And me and the 6 people I was with that were also in the program with me, we actually filmed some TikToks. We showed them, we presented them. We even met with some people from TikTok just to kind of get a gauge of like the platform, how it does when it comes to sponsorships, because they can, blast it with all the algorithms and things like that. And it won't even just be sales, it will also be informational and financial literacy. So that was something that we really got to do. And it just gave the chance to learn more about our social media presence and really gauge, like, even though there's so much more that goes into planning it and just of a regular post, it could be so much more. Even the risk of how everything was. And it was amazing just getting to talk to our social media team and seeing everything that you don't even think about goes on in a bank.
So the most interesting project I worked on, I'll actually speak to it from my roles perspective. So I'm a release manager, so I don't actually work on development projects, but I help teams plan and implement their application enhancements. So one of the most interesting releases I have gotten to manage was around the holiday season last year. There was an issue with one of our applications. We had to put out an emergency fix for that application. And it was one that I know I have used in the past, and other several customers and friends that I know have used. And it was really interesting just to see everyone come together to pull that change together before the holiday season so that our customers would have a good experience. During the holiday season, there's increased volume of use of our application. So it's really important that we fix those for our customers and make sure everything's working properly. So it was really awesome to see that collaboration and ultimately get to communicate that we were a go for that install and that we were able to put that in.
Awesome, thank you. First, thanks panelists for all of your great insight and your sharing your stories. I really hope that it inspired some of the scholars on the phone to want to, do some of the things that you've done, because it sounds really cool. So thank you again for being able to provide those examples. Let's move to the next slide. All right, so I'm just going to wrap up on these next couple of slides. Here are some resources for you to be able to stay in touch with us and how we can stay in touch with you. First, at the top right, please visit our university programs website there. I know we didn't really go into what each program does. It wasn't really the point of this particular webinar. As Dewey said, you are going to have some takeaways. So this is one of your takeaways. If you're interested in learning more about the programs that we reviewed or some of the programs that our panelists work in, please go to our university programs website. Moving over to the right, looks like Wells Fargo is the exclusive sponsor for the tuition funding sources. So that's because Wells Fargo not only cares about being able to give you good jobs, but we want to be able to show you where the money is to be able to pay for your education. So check out tuition funding sources there.
And Ryan, this is
Yeah.
Jimmy. If I can just sidebar on this one briefly, for those that have not checked out TFS, I promise you it will be in your best interest, whether you're a high school senior that's now transitioning to campus, or whether you're working on your doctoral, your dissertation or your doctorate or your master's. I promise you, if you go to that website and create a profile, you are going to find resources that are to your benefit. So check out TFS, and a huge shout out to our buddy Richard and the team managing that wonderful platform. So Ryan, thanks for the sidebar there, man.
Awesome. Moving on to our talent community. If you go to our talent community, which is actually on the university program site, if you sign up, you can receive job alerts from us. So as soon as there's a position available that you express interest in, you'll get a job alert that it's open and posted for you to apply. And then also you'll get advanced notifications of some early hiring events that we're going to host. And I'll give an example of one here towards the end of this, the slides that I'm going to cover. And then finally, Dewey's got, 5-6 more Beyond College webinar series lined up. So I didn't do him justice today, but I promise you, if you join the other Beyond College series, you're going to find some other people that put in a better performance than me. Panelists notwithstanding, they did an awesome job. So quick plug on, please join the other Beyond College webinars.
So team, great content there. Ryan, we've got some important action items here, and I have to disagree with you, man. You are a master facilitator, and you rest assured, man, you've earned your spot for next year, for the next installment, man. Listen, talk to us about these application dates. And scholars, remember, right after this, we're going to be jumping into Q&A. So keep those questions coming in. And we've got our partners that are going to help facilitate that conversation. But these application dates, Ryan, these are real dates, man. If you see a date, you better respond in time, because if not, it's like the bus or the plane flight. You get to the gate 20 minutes late, they gone.
That's it.
So.
Yeah. So I look at these dates and pay close attention,
Yes.
because once August 29th, September 21st, November 8th hit, that's it. And as I mentioned to you earlier, our team reviews each and every single application. So don't feel like, this doesn't matter. And the number of people that we've hired have come from people applying to wellsfargo.com directly. Okay. So this is for our intern application dates. We are going to be starting recruitment this fall. As you can see, we're going to be looking for people that graduate the end of next year, so December 2022, or the summer of 2023. So these are really juniors. And as you can see, we've got our technology programs. A huge chunk of that stuff in the middle are the programs that I work with, and as well as the wealth and investment management program there at the bottom. So now sometimes our website is a little funky, so that's where the job ID comes in. So if you're like put in a bunch of words and maybe the website will pull up a bunch of positions and you don't know which one you're really looking for, if you just search it by job ID, it will pull up the exact position or program that you're searching for. So take note of the job ID as well, because that's really important. I did want to look and do a quick note there. It looks like if you're interested in corporate investment banking, their timeline is very, very accelerated. And unfortunately, they're no longer accepting applications at this time, but you can reach out to Kit or the Early Talent Forum or me. And if we can put you in touch with somebody, we're happy to do so. All right, let's move to the next slide. All right, so this is the same information. We're going to be recruiting interns and full-time this fall. So these are the specific full-time positions that we're going to be posting and the dates that they're posted. As you can see, I mentioned earlier, investment banking is really early. So we're kind of at that cutoff. What day is it today? 29th. Oh, you still got 1 day. You still got 1 day to apply for investment banking, if that's where your interest lies, okay? Everything else, you've got a little bit more lead time room. But again, here are the positions. For our full-time positions, we're looking for people that graduate either December of this year or next summer. All right, next slide, please. Okay, somebody was going to be really mad at me if I did not put a plug in for some of our special events that we have coming up in the next couple of months. So these are 2 special invitation-only forums that we're going to be hosting. The first one is for those that are both are for graduating seniors, but first is one specifically for those that identify as Latin American or Hispanic, and the other one is for those that self-identify as Black or African American. Again, both are for graduating seniors, so you need to be graduating at December of this year or summer of next year. Invitation only, but if you are invited to apply to attend, you get to hear from some very, very senior people here at Wells Fargo. We've got some cool development workshops lined up for you. And icing on the cake is that you'll also have a chance to be considered for our full-time positions before general recruitment begins. So if this interests you, please go onto the university programs website again, and there's more information on how you can apply there. All right, I think that wraps it.
Yeah, Ryan, you've covered off on your pieces in a really, really great way. So we are now transitioning over to our Q&A portion of the discussion. And so we've got a lot of questions that have come in. We've got some additional partners that are going to come on screen. But scholars, you guys have been sitting for a minute. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and get stretched out. We're getting ready. We got the Olympics going on here out in Tokyo. As a matter of fact, let's do something fun. Let's do something fun. This is an audible. Everybody knows how to go and adjust your name, right? In your Zoom profile. Go ahead and click on it. Go ahead and keep your name there, but go ahead and add either a hashtag or a dash with your favorite Olympic event. Let's do something fun for a minute. Let everybody go for a minute. Go ahead and add either a dash or a hashtag there with your favorite Olympic event. And so I've just updated mine, and you guys can see water polo. I give it up for anybody that can swim at 15 feet and can only hold the ball with one hand at any time, except the goalie. So water polo is my, okay, I see gymnastics here. I see wrestling for Ryan, swimming, of course. All right, let's see if we get any other ones that chime in here. We'll just keep that in mind. Oh, a golf. Cameron with the golf cue there. I like that. Oh, track and field. We love that. We love that. All right, so scholars and participants, go ahead and rename yourself wherever you are as well with your favorite Olympic sport with things. So speaking of Olympic athletes, let me hand the reins over to Ruth Armandades and to Kit Cam and the team. You're talking about, they're always on the medal stand. Let's just keep it real from that perspective. These are trusted partners that have been with us for a long time. They're answering questions and they're keeping tabs of those that are coming in. So Ruth, Kit, certainly want to hand the reins over to you. I know Shirley's out there in Radio Land too, doing things. We may not see her on screen, but want to give it to you all. Let's go through as many of these questions as we can And we'll just take them rapid fire here between now and when we end the broadcast. All right.
Perfect. So we're gonna have to do rapid fire. So you guys have been keeping me busy. We are over 110 questions that have come in.
Wow.
We've been trying to answer as many as possible. So I'm gonna tee up a few to the panel. So I know our panel to talk about kind of like lessons learned and what you wish you had known before you started. But somebody asked, in regards to your first job, like what do you think made you successful in that first role? So I'll hand it over to any of the panelists who want to answer that one. And not everybody jump in. What do you think made you successful?
I believe with my internship, I really built a rapport with my manager. Our very first day when I arrived there, he took me to lunch. We really built that rapport, and he really knew how to communicate with me and really took the time to explain what was going on and what his specific team did, and then really included me with the team. We would have lunch, we would go for walks, just like, you know, those 10-minute walks about sitting in your chair all the time. This was back before the pandemic, of course. So I think that was something that really made me successful, and I was just really eager to learn. You have that can-do attitude, and being able to speak with anybody and just being able to be really approachable as well. It really helps.
Perfect. Thank you, Cynthia. All right, I'm going to tee this next one to Cameron. Cameron, what information or tips can you share for people to know about interviewing? So maybe perhaps share some tips and what helped you through your interview process.
Be prepared. Never go into an interview and wing it. I think I would research, like, everyone hates the tell me about a time questions, but those are like the most important ones. And so I would like go find a bunch of them. And I think I found somewhere where it would tell you like what the interviewer is trying to determine based on the question. And so with that, you know how to like develop your delivery and your examples. I know a lot of people may say like, well, I don't have any experience, so how can I answer these questions? But any kind of experience works. I mean, learning how to deal with, you know, problem solving, time management. We've all had to deal with those things, whether you're coming out of high school or you're, like Dewey said, like you're working on your dissertation. At some point you've been challenged, or at some point you've had to show initiative or something. So, you know, practice those answers in front of the mirror, you know, record yourself, do all of those things. And that way, you know, you'll be more successful, because you can definitely tell. I've interviewed people before, and you can tell when someone just kind of showed up and just went off the top of the head.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Cameron. All right. And this next one is kind of a recurring question that has come up. What opportunities are there for freshmen and rising sophomores? So, and I'll go ahead and answer it. So currently we do not have internships at a freshman level. Our rising sophomores, ironically, it is not too early for you guys to start being considered for forums and summits and programs. One of our programs, our corporate investment banking team, is actually has a very aggressive timeline. So they start talking to sophomores in the fall and in the spring. So many times they finish up their recruiting season very early on. So as a sophomore, you should be looking at those opportunities. Freshmen and sophomores, you should be looking at our summits. We typically will do, we have a few things that we do. On a monthly basis, we have a senior leader speaker series. Gives you an opportunity to get access to our leadership teams, learn about Wells Fargo, learn about the different lines of business within Wells Fargo, and that will hopefully help plant the seed of what different opportunities you might want to consider with us. And then keep an eye out for the forums that we then hold during the year. Early in the spring, we typically kick off a mentorship program and look for students who are applying for perhaps getting a mentor within Wells Fargo. So as a freshman and sophomore, we certainly encourage you to do that. And then obviously as a sophomore, as you start getting those skill sets, we know you're going to be going into rising junior status for internships. So know that it is never too early to start, but for the actual internships, you will not be eligible that early on. Another question that was asked quite often was, I am graduating. Can I be considered for an internship because I don't have any financial services background? So if you are graduating, we will consider you for full-time opportunities into our early training programs. So know that we don't require you to have prior financial services background to go into our early talent programs. That is what the program is there for, to help you hone those skills. So we do appreciate you wanting to get an internship to give you a little bit of a leg up, but once you are a senior and have graduated or getting ready to graduate, you are no longer being considered for internships. We are looking at you for full-time opportunities. So I hope that answers that question.
Ruth, can I just chime in on that one as well?
Absolutely.
And that's also, because of the time delay between the end of the internship and when many of our full-time positions start. So there's usually, a 9-month delay. And, if we don't have a full-time job for you to start into right away, I don't think you want to be in that position where you're, in limbo land for 9 months after an internship ends. So I echo Ruth's comments on, we will still consider you for full-time. That's probably the best fit. So you can start making that money right away, and no financial services experience necessary to be considered.
Very good. All right, so let me go through a few additional questions. We still have 55 questions coming in. So you guys are very active. We appreciate it. All right. Most positions have a broad description. How can we ensure that we choose the one that best fits our interests? Ryan, do you think you want to take that one?
I knew I should have gone off camera. So yeah, I mean, they are broad, but, I would key in on very certain specific things in there. So there's positions that are like wealth management and dealing with customers and, those types of things. So a little bit more customer facing. There's some that are a little bit more behind the scenes that's maybe not external customer facing, but more internal customer facing, like in the areas of risk management or audit, for example. There's credit analysis. So I would, although they are broad-based, I think you can key in on very specific words in the job descriptions that might resonate with you, right? Whether you're dealing with customers or you don't want to deal with customers, right? Whether you want to deal with credit and financial statement analysis or you don't want to do that, right? So if you have further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. But I think that there's still some information in those job descriptions that you can key in on and start to determine whether or not there's a fit there for you.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, the next question, I'm going to tee it up to either Layla or Megan. So I'll start with Layla first, and Megan, if you want to add afterwards. But what part of your job seems small, but is actually very crucial?
What part of your job seems small? I think that like Cameron brought this up earlier, doing the little things and like getting ahead on those little things may seem small, but it'll pay off at the end. I think being very diligent and careful and thoughtful about everything you do, taking extra time to look over things is really valuable and will help you in the long run. So I wouldn't say like any one task seems smaller or less important, but the tasks that you do every day, make sure you do them well, and that'll pay off the rest of your career.
Very good. Megan, what about you?
Yeah, adding to what Layla said, in addition to the small tasks, that's very important. Just also the interactions that you have with people every day. When someone helps you out, when someone answers a question for you, making sure you say thank you, making sure you take the time to make those connections with other people, it really goes a long way.
Very good. Thank you. All right, when can I start applying for these university programs? So I will answer that and tell you, so every business group has different timelines. I mentioned our corporate investment side, it has an earlier timeline. They many times will post some opportunities in the spring. So you want to make sure that you join our talent community. You get very familiar with our early talent landing page. And then actually, if we want to go back to that so they could, for you guys, make sure you take a screenshot of that particular slide that has the early talent landing page so you guys have it. So you want to, it really honestly, as part of your college years, your job search and being aware and familiar with what is going on in the industry and what companies are offering is almost a year-long process, right? There's a few lulls in there, right? After Thanksgiving, things die down, early spring, things die down. But generally around March to the October timeframe, recruited season for companies can vary. Some might be hosting some summits and informational sessions. Some might actually have interviewing process going on, but the heavy interviewing time is going to be in the fall, typically September. Ideally, most companies, for us at Wells Fargo as well, we like to make all our offers by the October timeframe at the very latest, because that way you're going into your midterms and your finals already knowing that you have landed that internship and you can enjoy the rest of the semester. And that helps us also look at what our openings are, making sure that we're looking at, is there going to be a need to go back on campus? And generally, if we can, we like to make sure that we're done with our recruiting season. So now we're just working on onboarding and training of all those individuals that have started. So make sure that you are constantly looking at those opportunities throughout the year. Kit, I know you've joined us, and I think you have quite a few questions that are coming your way too. Do you want to take any live?
Yeah, actually, there's a great one coming in that asks, it happens to be that there are some individuals here that are rising sophomores, so that's fantastic. I love seeing individuals that are early in their college years joining those sessions, right? So they're way ahead of the game already. So one of the question is, are there any summer intern opportunities for students who are expected to graduate May 2024 as a rising sophomore? So yeah, there are some programs, although very, very limited, because we really firmly believe that, as you enter into your freshman, sophomore year, we kind of want to get you grounded a little bit in terms of the academic life, right? So that's where the most opportunity for you to learn and kind of get acclimated to really adjusting to college life. But also taking the opportunity to join sessions like this and getting more engaged in the school to learn more about the various opportunities out there are really that early time frame to help prepare you so that when you are in your junior year, you're ready to take on some of these learning opportunities, going through the interview process, et cetera, right? So that take advantage of that learning opportunity to help to prepare you for the interview process that corporations are looking for in that junior, rising senior year, okay? Anything else to add there, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll add. So to answer the question with some specific programs, I know our technology group. So if you happen to be, studying technology or that's your cup of tea, our technology program hires sophomores. Wealth and investment management will hire sophomores. The corporate investment banking program will hire sophomores, as well as the financial analyst program. So those are, what is that, 4 or 5? I told you I can't count, but there's 4 or 5 there that that do offer sophomore internships. And so check those out on our website again, and would encourage you to apply if those application dates are open.
There's also another question asked, are these the final dates for the application process? Yes, that's our window of opportunity, definitely. Now, there are some circumstances, there will be opportunities for us to potentially, reopened, but those are going to be in rare circumstances. Some programs are going to be unique, but consistently, those are going to be our posting timeframe window. Okay. I think there's some other questions that might be really relevant that's coming in. The question is, I'm an incoming freshman in college. Are there any programs or opportunities available in the fall or rising sophomore? I think we kind of touched upon that already a little bit. So especially for freshmen, it's gonna be rare. There are some corporations out there that do open opportunities to freshmen. We are not one of them, unfortunately. But for sophomores, as Ryan had mentioned, we do have limited opportunities, and he did call out some of those programs there. If you go to our website, they do list in terms of the target graduation dates out there, so that can help you to determine if that's going to be relevant to you, if you're able to apply to those opportunities. Okay.
So I see a few more coming in, and one of them is opportunities for graduating seniors. So we want to emphasize, does Wells Fargo hire graduating seniors into technology? So what you want to think about is that absolutely we do. So we have opportunities. We are posting opportunities now. So each group generally is posting both intern and full-time opportunities in September. So make sure that you are looking at those. And then another question that came through that absolutely, someone said, is the stack going to be available? So one of the great benefits of the Beyond College webinar is that all these calls get recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So you have access to the playback and also access to sharing those links with your peers. So please make sure that you leverage the playback for any of the slides. And
that content is sponsored by our great partners at API Scholars. This shameless plug is submitted to you by Dewey Norwood.
Thanks, Dewey. I know. He gets paid extra bonus for every plug, right?
When is the recording going to be available? I think that was one of the questions as well.
Yeah, Kit, thanks for that. And traditionally, Nicole and her team, as you all heard earlier, they're in their national conference this week. So give us about a week, right around this time next week or so, team, you'll actually be able to go to the YouTube channel for API Scholars and access the content there. And also that many of you are on our distribution list now. Again, we mentioned them earlier, tuition funding sources. We also send that information back out as we start talking about the upcoming session. So give us a week and we'll have everything out there for you. And go ahead and share it again. I'm putting in another plug. Hashtag WFC Beyond College. WFC meaning Wells Fargo's ticker symbol on the New York Stock Exchange. WFC Beyond College. Go ahead and tag, mention the great presenters that you've seen today as you're posting and share with others. Kit, we'll give it back to you and Ruth. Let's keep rolling with the Q&A.
Excellent. All right, so there's another question that is coming through. Are these programs and requisitions that you shared available to graduate students? So the current programs are at the undergrad level. We do have 2 programs at the graduate level, and those are first-year MBAs for our corporate investment banking side. And then we have a credit risk analyst program that also looks at graduate level programs. We also have a quants PhD program for those of you who are pursuing mathematics and analytics and going into kind of quantitative background. Think about getting your PhD, a very, very great program. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the early talent landing page. Want you guys to get familiar with that because that will definitely give you an opportunity to start thinking about the different roles. Now, if you are a graduate student and you're like, well, you know, I can't apply for any of these jobs because they're all undergrad, you can still apply. And we also encourage you to apply for direct hire roles through wellsfargojobs.com. There are multiple opportunities available in Wells Fargo. It all depends on your skill sets, the areas that you're interested in. So we don't want you to be discouraged that it may not be an early talent program, but definitely still make sure that you're applying.
So I have a question that came in asking what opportunities do you have for criminal justice graduates? There are some programs out there that are broader in base, and there are going to be departments, for example, financial crimes division within our analytics program or data management, finance, for example. So those are going to be some, you know, like I said, most of the programs out there are pretty broad in terms of what they're open to in terms of majors. It's just looking for alignment. So if you're a criminal justice, there are going to be some opportunities for you. Just make sure, again, go to our website, look and see which program out there resonates to you, and especially look at the preferred qualifications there. That's going to be really helpful to you in terms of the alignment and your interests. Okay. And then Ruth, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask one more question that came in, and that's, I'm an international student on an F1 visa. Can I apply for internships at Wells Fargo? It depends. There are some opportunities, although very rare, that will accept F1 student and be potentially open to sponsorships. Our undergraduate programs, for the most part, will not be open to international students. So to answer more black and white, you have to refer to the program posting to see if they are open to that or not. Ruth, was there other questions that came through that you want to answer?
Well, this question, I'm going to, as a campus recruiter, I'm going to direct it to you, see what tips you can give. Would you recommend adding a cover letter and a recommendation letter along with our resume when we submit the application?
So if you're applying to a position directly, from my perspective, and there's always different answers to that, right? It's so subjective, but we are going through hundreds and sometimes thousands of resumes, right? So I don't really leverage the cover letter or the references until I need to go back to that. Really put the emphasis on your resume, but I'll add that if you're applying for a forum, for example, some of the in-house events, they will potentially ask for cover letters. So be sure that you read the requirements of what they're looking and asking of you to take the appropriate action. But if you're applying to directly, it's not necessary, but really focus on your resume to be very clear, concise in terms of what you're looking for and what skill sets you're looking to contribute to that opportunity.
Yeah. So let me add to that real quick, Kit. So that's really good advice. I think that those cover letter references are probably more suited if you're going to be pursuing some more experienced jobs, for example, maybe where the candidate volumes may not be as many and is a little bit more specialized. So there is value in having a cover letter and providing references. I would actually say references, you don't need to provide them until you're asked for them. But I mentioned several times already that I got my recruiters working 24/7 looking at resumes. I won't let them sleep. I won't let them take a drink of anything until they go through every resume in the requisition. And so a cover letter and references will help them out if you don't include them at this time.
Well, the good news is I can turn off my camera so he won't know that I actually sleep a little bit.
So disclaimer moment, please note, Ryan actually does not withhold water or food or sleep from his team. They do that on their own. And it's candidly, scholars, it's to win you to the firm. We know that you all have choices. We know that you all are top tier. You all are performing at the highest levels. We have to make sure that we're providing these opportunities for you. So
yeah.
Real talk there. Guys, we're going to keep going. Ruth, we're going to give it another, 8 to 10 minutes for Q&A, and then we'll give them some closing items. Let's keep rolling.
Let's keep going. All right, so there are some upcoming forums. We have the Latinx, we have the MBA Black and Latinx forums in September. And when will you get selected? For the undergrad Latinx and African-American Black forums, they will be hosted in September, so we'll be notifying individuals in August. The application is open till the 6th of August, so we're waiting till that application closes and we'll start notifying students of the selection. And then our MBA team for IB, they start typically having conversations with invites in the August timeframe, early September, and then start sending out their invites then. So keep an eye out for those if you have applied to them. We have a freshman who asked, what tips can you recommend for me to prepare for a scholarship, for an internship? They know they're early, but what can they do? So there's a few things you can do, and you should definitely take advantage of your career services on campus, and then also make sure that you're actively involved in campus organizations. So whether it be NABA, Alpha, maybe you're an MLT alum or HSF, those are things that you want to be actively involved in. If you don't have an opportunity to be involved on campus, maybe you're working full-time or part-time while you're going to school, volunteer in your community. Those are things that you can highlight on your resume so that when you are ready to start applying, then it shows that you are have a well-rounded resume. So make sure that you do that and start working on those skills. And then it's never too early to start working on mock interviews and prepping for those interviews.
I was going to add, definitely leverage your career services staff. They can make connections for you and provide some additional guidance in terms of workshops and where to get connected. The one that I really want to quickly answer, Ruth, is a question about where are the opportunities. I think there was a specific question. He's looking, an individual is looking for Charlotte, North Carolina. So our programs are pretty much national programs. So depending upon which one that you're interested in pursuing, there are going to be huge markets throughout nationally. So yes, to answer directly that question, is there an office in Charlotte? We do have a huge presence there, along with other locations such as, you know, East Coast, West Coast, you name it, it's all over the country. Okay. Over back to you.
Thank you. And someone asked about Fayetteville. So that is the same thing. You want to make sure that you're looking at the postings. Some opportunities will be nationwide. Some opportunities will be in certain hubs. So just make sure that you're looking at the postings. And if you can, be flexible. It may take for you to take a role in another city, work in that role, you know, 3 to 5 years before you can move back and you really kind of hone your skills to be able to work remotely from anywhere. So if you can, and that's a possibility for you, take that advantage, take that shot. Don't stay home just because that's where you can only work. It does limit your opportunities. So we hope that we can encourage you to open up those opportunities for you.
Ruth, can I just add to that? So during our recruiting process, we obviously, you know, you can think about the major places that have a lot of interest: New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, et cetera, right? But we have openings in a lot of different places. In the business that Cameron works, specifically middle market banking, we have openings in places like Owatonna, Minnesota. Many of you probably never heard of that. I actually never heard of it until I had to recruit for that. So, you know, you can imagine if we've got 50 candidates that want to work in New York for 1 or 2 openings, and I've got this wide open position at Owatonna. I'm just looking for some great candidates that are flexible to work there. And, you know, literally we couldn't fill it for almost 9 months. And so that's a little of an extreme case, but I guess I'm trying to drive home the point of geographic flexibility is key. And if you're not, you're really just limiting yourself in what opportunities you might be able to pursue here at Wells Fargo. Understand there's maybe some cases where you have to be at a certain location, and I respect that. But if you can be geographically flexible, it really opens up an entire, you know, world for you of being able to be considered for different positions.
Very good. All right, this next question, I'll tee it up to Kit. And there's 2 questions that are kind of tied close together from different individuals, so I'll give you both. First one, what does the interview process look like for internships?
So it kind of depends on the program that you're applying for. For the most part, there's a 2-step process that's more interfacing. You could have a first round interview after the resume screening review with a phone interview with the recruiter or someone within the business, essentially, depending on how many positions that we're trying to fill. But in general, it would be a 2-pronged process. At times, there are going to be more than 2, again, depending upon how many lines of businesses that are interested in you and vice versa, okay? And then essentially the second final one, if it was a traditional one, would be that final interview with their recruiting manager, with the business hiring manager, if there's a potential match there. Okay.
Very good. And then the next question,
something else to add on that one?
What'd you say?
I was like, did you have something else to add on that one?
Oh, no.
all right, so then
Kit, like, okay.
I'll give you the next one. All right. What traits or skills separate you from the rest of the recruits that allow you to be accepted into the Wells Fargo family?
Oh my gosh. Definitely looking at the role of it and is there interest, is there alignment? we look at individuals holistically to ensure that, not only does this fit what we're looking for, but also is this something that from your engagement with us, that it aligns to you and where you want to pursue longer term, right? As you're emerging into this career field early in your career, to Ruth's point earlier, look at the opportunity, not necessarily the location. Now, when you get older, like me, then moving around is not so easily, right? So pursue the opportunity, learn and grow those credentials as much as possible. We do look at individuals' eagerness and passion for the industry and the fit within the organization, and where do you want to pursue this career field longer term. Not necessarily be in that role for a very long time, but are you looking for something longer term within the organization and want to learn and grow? Okay.
Kit, something came through the chat about current employees being eligible. Are current employees eligible for interns and internships and full-time jobs? And the answer is yes. I mean, we're going to have some of the similar requirements that we might be looking for people that are not employees. However, Cameron here was a personal banker, and I personally have helped and been in the process to be able to recruit other team members or employees of the bank into early talent programs, whether it be an internship or a full-time role directly.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I saw one in the question chat, and we're going to connect. There's a current team member employee that's interested in one of my program. Actually, I'm going to connect with him on a one-off to talk about how to better prepare him for that next move.
Cool.
Good. So I think we're almost at time. So I'm going to answer like 2 more questions just really quickly. And then we want to remind folks that we've added the Early Talent Forum email box in the deck, so that when you get the playback, certainly feel free to reach out to us. So one quick question, the Latinx Graduating Forum, the deadline said June 1st. That is correct. That was the original deadline. We have reopened it, and the deadline is now August 6th. So we will definitely make sure that it is open and available for individuals to apply. And then one last question, what if I have to relocate? Does Wells Fargo offer relocation? So it does vary by program, but we do offer relocation opportunities, and we encourage you to have conversations with your campus recruiter as you're going through that process early on, so that they understand what you are looking for, and that way you can make a better decision when it comes to acceptance. So I will pause there. I apologize that we weren't able to get to all the questions. I think we still have like 39 questions coming through. We will definitely provide some responses, but please leverage our email box.
Hey, Ruth, thank you for the thorough walkthrough there. Tons of really great information. And panelists, I want to salute each of you all. And again, another audible here. I'm actually going to ask all of our panelists to share a closing thought. And I want this one to be crisp. The one thing that you want all of our attendees today, or folks watching the playback, to hold on to. So Megan, if it's okay, I'll start with you. Megan, if you'll hand it to a member of the team, and then I'll let you all popcorn it around to who you want to pick on. I mean, who you want to select to share next.
All right. Thanks, Dewey. Yeah, one thing is hard, but I would say, apply even if you don't think your application is going to be seen. I definitely had that perspective going into it, and I applied anyway, and I'm a seen. So go for it.
All right. You get to pass the mic, my friend. You pick.
Sure. I'll pass it to Layla.
Thanks, Megan. I would just say have fun with the recruiting process. You get to meet a lot of people. You get to learn a lot of things. And so just have fun, enjoy it. Yeah, that's all I'll say. I'll pass it to Cameron.
I would say approach every interview as if you know you're going to get it. Be confident and believe in yourself. And I'll pass to Cynthia.
I would say don't limit yourself to no matter what your major is. I've worked with people who are biology majors, international majors. Like, there is a place for you in Wells Fargo. You just have to find it. There's always going to be a place. There's everything under the sun. This bank is huge. Trust me, there's everything there. So just be confident, and your skills are needed.
There you go. There you go. So let's salute again all of our panelists and Ryan and Ruth and Kit for just a masterful walking through there of the Q&A. And of course, Nicole and the team in the background. And again, I'm gonna call another audible. This is the last audible because we're running out of time here on things. We've got a polling question that we're gonna give you in a moment, but I wanna bring everybody on the screen for a minute. I talked earlier about getting trending, and I'm serious about this thing, y'all. This content was a home run. So we're gonna get everybody on the screen, or we'll ask everyone, there we go. So you've got all the names here for our panelists and presenters. I'm going to ask you guys to come on camera for a moment, and we're going to pause here for 3 to 5 seconds with our best smile. So I want everybody that's on to go ahead and grab a screen grab and throw it on all of your social media handles. You will find Wells Fargo on every area. All right, team, we're going to count it down in 3, 2, 1. Get that pose. Hold that pose. 2 more seconds. Last call. All right. I hope everybody got a screenshot, and I hope that everyone that's on, everyone that's watching the replay, if you got anything out of this, go ahead and shout out the team, shout out the presenters. I've dropped into the chat at least twice the LinkedIn profiles for all of our panelists and all of our presenters. So please go ahead and get connected in with them, and then we'll continue to move. Hey, Nicole, I know we're right on time here. Let's roll that last polling question, and then we're going to lightning fast breeze through our last items. So the polling question will come up here now. You know, you've heard a little bit about some of our different lines of business and some of the other kinds of groups. Just want to get a sense from you now, and we'll keep this up for just more than a moment, of the lines of businesses that you'd like to learn more about. And so please, you'll see the breakouts there. Again, of course, across the community bank and the commercial bank and consumer bank, of course, the investment bank and wealth and investment management, audit, COO, corporate risk or finance, and then HR, legal, public affairs, or technology. So we're going to give it just another 5 seconds on this. So in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's close that poll, better yet, and see what our results are looking like. Wow, interesting mix here. A lot of WIM, a lot of the investment banks, some folks falling into audit as well. Good number of folks around HR, public affairs, and technology and legal, and then all of the above. I mean, 18% at least here, almost 20%, all of the above. It looks like some folks also want to learn more about the community banking world and also commercial banking and consumer banking. So some really, really good things there. Got a ton of follow-up for everyone that's on and watching the rebroadcast of this. You've got the names of the folks that you can connect in with. Hey, as we move on, some quick reminders, and I dropped this into the chat a little bit earlier. You've got the on-demand playback. Remember, that is sponsored this year by API Scholars. This is their YouTube channel where you can access all of these. These will also be on the Wells Fargo YouTube channel a little bit later this year, but you've got listings for all of these. The playback is available for all of the content that we've covered off on. So whether it's preparing for graduate school or resume writing, whether it's money management, or whether it's starting your own small business from an entrepreneurship perspective, all of those pieces are there. As we move forward, again, you'll see the playback for the additional sessions here. We've got our salary versus value, which is now available. I think Ruth actually co-facilitated that one. Obviously, careers and internships. Give us a week, and then we'll get the details out relative to that one, or bookmark that channel and you can pull them up. Digital natives, that'll be coming up next month. I promise you, it's always a great topic. So come and join us for that discussion. Success strategies for student debt. And then, of course, Get Smart About Credit Month. As I mentioned, Bonnie Wallace, our buddy, will be coming to connect in there. And mentors and sponsors. Big things in those given areas. Team, my closing thoughts are going to be very, very brief. And it's going to be to say thank you, to all of the scholars that participated today. And I'm going to take a minute. I want to shout out our high schoolers. High schoolers don't always get love, but we got Staten Island Technical High School in the mix. We got Manhattan Village Academy. We got Valley High School. We got Westminster High School. We got Battlefield High School. We got Heritage High School, Petro High School, Penn State Harrisburg High School, Springbrook High School, Northridge High School, the Miguel Contreras Learning Complex. Looks like there's one on here called Sickles High School, Millennium High School, again, Staten Island Tech, Highland, and also 2 here from the Charlotte area with Queens Grant High School and also Philip O'Berry. So high schoolers, I commend you all for getting on early and getting ahead. Share this information with your other classmates. Help them as they're growing and developing in the days ahead. For our college students, thank you for taking time to be on. We've talked about it earlier. Share this information with others. @mention Wells Fargo, @mention API Scholars, @mention the presenters, as you're sharing this information with others as well. To our panelists, absolutely a home run. Thank you for sharing in a very transparent and real way. My hope is that a lot of the scholars will be staying connected with you to continue the conversations in the days ahead. To the rest of our Wells Fargo team with Ryan and Ruth and Kit, and of course, Shirley, who's not on screen here, just thank you so much for all that you all do in continuing to help us win top tier talent to the institution. Of course, Nicole, to you and to Karen, thank you all so much for the great work that you're doing. Also want to give a very fast shout out to Barbara Scotland and to Andrea Vienna and to our other partners, Cheryl McDonald as well, other partners that help us get this information out to the wonderful scholars. And so seeing lots of chats coming in, feel free to fill up that chat box comments, better yet, or thoughts about today. I want everyone to continue to stay safe. Please continue to work hard. And if there are any questions about the items that we've touched on today, please do not hesitate to contact us. I hope that you all will connect in with me as well, so we can continue the conversation in the days ahead. Be back with us next week. We'll be back on campus by then on August the 26th for what's going to be a really fun discussion around digital natives and social media smarts, how you can position your social media in the right kind of way from a corporate perspective. With that said, we're going to thank everyone again for being on. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. NBA draft tonight, but you can watch that after you watch the API Scholars comedy show that's happening. So get registered for that as well, and then you can tune into the NBA draft. Guys, we always enjoy working with you. We'll see you next month for Digital Natives and Social Media Smarts. Good night, everybody.